Yeah, buddy. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How you doing?
All right. What's been going on with you? It's 114 degrees below zero
Oh
around
yeah,
here.
it's been cold.
You
Just
staying warm?
yeah, staying warm, staying inside.
Hope all you listeners are staying warm. Hopefully, when you hear this podcast, it's
It's
at
the
least
summertime.
warmer than it is right now.
Yeah,
Can't get much colder.
it's definitely very cold outside, and with all the kids inside, 24, because you can't kick them outside to go play when it's negative 10 degrees outside.
Yeah, you got to play really hard to keep the body temp up at this.
Yeah, and it's not even like you can pull the cars out of the garage and let them play in the garage
No,
or
not
something.
worth
It's cold.
opening the garage?
Yeah. So they're right now they have a tent city made in the kitchen and the living room. They just all the blankets from the kitchen to the living room. And I came upstairs and I was like, all right,
Yeah.
at least you're not jumping off the furniture trying to hurt yourself.
Yeah, it's a game changer. It's a game changer parenting whenever removed from your tool bag is go outside.
Yeah.
Right?
Why don't you just go outside and play?
It's like, whoa, how about we don't trash the kitchen, go outside.
Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
Shauna just spent like Sunday cleaning. And so she got on the cameras and she's like, what in the world is going on? I'm like, Tent City. It'll be cleaned up before you get home. She's like, better be. So, no, I was having a good time. So, when
We're talking
sermon
about
series,
what's next.
yeah, we're talking about what's next. We're in this series. And so we're going to talk today a little bit about what's next after some loss. And obviously loss isn't just about losing a person in your life per se. It could take a large, you could lose a girlfriend, you could lose your job, you could lose maybe get in a fight with a really good friend and it's over. So loss can appear in various ways other than just a person passing away, right? And really, talking about, I think after loss, that the main thing is that grief period,
And
right?
the different stages of it.
And the different stages and everything. So, I really liked this definition or perspective on grief, which is that grief is the loss of what could have been.
Ooh. Yeah.
Right? So you're not necessarily, you're losing your job, right? You're upset about losing your job, but it's like what could in 5 years what could I have been in that role?
Yeah.
Or,
What cog was that playing in the remainder of your existence?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know about you, but I think back sometimes with some points in my life where I decided to move somewhere and it didn't really turn out, and we moved back, and then I'm like, man, what if we had stayed there? What would that have looked like? All those kinds of points. Friends that I had that I don't really talk to anymore. I think about the good times that we had, but then also like what also could have our friendship been, stuff like that. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with that. My personality type, and I believe a lot. There's a lot of providence, a lot of providence in life, and a lot of things are, as we know here in the Midwest, it's seasons, right? We have all four of the seasons, and they can all be the worst of the four seasons, right?
Yeah.
But they're a season. There's always change, and there's always I like to think of things in seasons, and sometimes we have relationships that feel like they're great, solid relationships. So they could be great, solid relationships, and maybe they were for a season. Maybe the providence was that season of the other person in the relationship, or it was providentially in a season for you. And it doesn't. Not every relationship has to be a lifelong relationship that ends with death, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the extreme view of approach to it. But I like to take a step back and see everything as a season. And what was the good in it? I guess that's my positivity
Yeah.
shining through. So
Yeah.
what's the good in it, and what was? So that helps me. That helps to keep me from.
Concerning yourself too much with what could have
Yes,
been
correct.
by focusing on what
what
you had,
what
on
was,
what you had.
what
yeah.
you had,
Yeah.
and what were the good things? What were the good things out of that?
Yeah, I like that.
Also, caveat coming from a guy who part of it is my positivity, and part of it is as we heard this week, I've serendipitously avoided a lot of grief. Right?
Sure.
It's not of no mechanism of my own. It just hasn't. I haven't experienced it.
Yeah, yeah.
In that large magnitude loss.
Yeah, and I think some people experience it, a lot more in life. Some people kind of lose, their childhood early due to events, maybe a loved
Yep.
one passing or something, and it kind of that reality hits them too soon, right? And so they kind of live that through that grief process a lot earlier than a lot of people do.
And kind of changes how they experience future grief.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Have you ever grieved over or felt bad or whatever you want to say at the loss of an inanimate object? Like something in your life that's not a person or relationship or anything else.
I think we grieve change. So we're resistant to change.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we know what to expect with things, and even when things change for the better, I think we still grieve a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so the loss of an inanimate object that I actually.
You got a family heirloom you dropped and it broke into a million pieces.
I've caused that. I've caused problems like that. It's never had. I've never been the one with the attachment to the object.
Somehow that seems very accurate. I had a.
Tell me about yours. And I'll
had-
see if I can come up with one.
Yeah. Think about it. I've had a few. I had this little cross that my grandmother gave me. It was a little turquoise cross outlined in silver, super small, And I don't know. I must have been 8 or 9 when she gave it to me, and I wore it all the time, like all the time. And probably when I was 12, 13, something like that, I was at the roller skating rink that I roller skated a lot growing up. And then I worked there until, a little bit into college. And I was at the roller skating rink, and I came home and I was in the car, and I realized I realized the necklace was still there, but the cross had
Yeah.
broken off of it. Right. And I was like devastated. I mean, devastated, in a few ways because my grandmother had passed. And so like, it was kind of like my memory of her and everything that was really, anyways. So I was just, I was so upset, that, and my mom went out and bought me another cross, which is the one that I wear now. Like that day, right? Just to try to like ease the pain a little bit. Well, anyway, the funny part is 3 years later, I'm at the roller skating rink, and the parking lot and the front entrance where you come in, it's old. There's cracks. It's a parking lot, and I'm standing there and I think about her, and I look down and it's right there in the crack.
What?
3 years later. And it's probably thousands upon thousands upon
yeah.
thousands of people have come in and out of that place in 3 years, and it's right there at the front. I mean, like 5 feet from the front door. Picked it up, was like, what the,
So what do you do with it? And now is it in lock and key?
Yeah, so I have
Is it
it.
in the safe at home?
Yeah, no, it's not. But it's in a safe place. And the funny part is when I went to college, it got lost for a little bit too, and recently got it back. And same thing with my class ring. I lost my class ring in my junior year because my mom and my dad both were like, you gotta get it bigger than what your finger is now, right? Because when you're 20, when you're 30, when you're 40, your finger is gonna be bigger, right? So get it big, and then wrap some yarn around it so it would fit. Well, when you first get a ring, you've never worn one ever. It's weird, and then on top of it, it doesn't fit you. Anyway, I lost it in the school, and then a couple months later, somebody found it and gave it back to me or whatever. So like. And the same thing, like when I went to college, there was a bunch of little things that just kind of like went by the wayside. And when we were cleaning out my mom's house, I looked at my brother and I was like, these are the 3 things I need to find: my class ring, grandma's cross, and my leather jacket. So it's like that's the kind of inanimate object, but it's important to you for the feeling.
Okay. So now I think I'm with you, but. I think mine's a little different. I think I have some junk that I should get rid of, but I just can't.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I think that's
All right.
what mine is. Mine doesn't have...
Yeah.
It isn't necessarily like this big sentimental value to where it would mean so much to me if it was lost. I have no use for it.
But you just don't want to throw it away.
I have a hard time getting rid of it.
Yeah. Like people in old trucks in their backyard for some reason.
My first ever baseball glove cleaner. I have it.
Oh,
I
nice.
have it, right?
Yeah.
And it's awesome. I got it. It's all leather.
Does your
really
hand
nice.
fit into it anymore?
I can force my hand.
Yeah.
It only goes a couple inches beyond my fingers, right?
Okay.
You can force a hand into it. And it's this little glove, and I thought, I should find some kid to,
Yeah. Nice
pass it
glove.
on to, right?
Yeah.
But it's old, and they can get a new, it's not doing a kid a favor,
Right.
giving them an old
old glove, yeah. Those newer gloves are probably nicer.
way better.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing anybody a favor. So then, therefore, it has no value.
Yeah.
It has no value to a child learning to play,
Yeah.
and it's just sitting on a shelf.
You're not super sentimental about it in such a way that if it fell off the shelf into a fire, you'd be like, oh no.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't want that to happen to
Yeah.
it. Yeah. You should bronze it.
Ooh.
My parents did with me and my brother's our first shoes. They had it bronzed, or whatever, and it's like a bookend.
Yeah. You know how you do that? You ever done that?
No.
See how I did it in art school.
I figure you just dip it in bronze.
No, it's completely different because you take the object and you have to you can make, there's a couple different ways, but you have to make a mold of it, or it has to be
so the item's not in it? It's just a casting of?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a few different ways to do it, but so you ever seen like those bronze anyway, you make the plaster cast mold of it, and then you can make like a wax copy. You make a wax copy of it, and then the wax goes into a mold, or the wax gets covered in plaster with a hole. You run a straw to the wax, and then you bake that thing, and the plaster gets super hard, and all the wax melts out.
Okay.
Then you melt the bronze, and you pour it back in the cavity, and then you beat all the plaster off it and smash it to smithereens, and the bronze sticks around, and then you gotta clean it up and polish it and all that.
Dude, you should bronze. You should do 2 bronze and make them bookends. That'd be kind of cool, right? Or do like one of like your old one and one of your one now, and make them bookends. It'd be kind
Yeah,
of cool.
no, I only did that process once. I don't even remember.
You can pay
I
somebody
don't
to
even
do
remember
it.
what my bronze sculpture was. I was required to make a bronze
Oh,
sculpture in
that's super
college, and I
cool.
don't even remember what it was.
Dude, that's super cool. Yeah, so I think we can. I mean, I think we can. I think you can grieve for the loss of things, right? You know, and even things that it doesn't make sense to someone else. You
Yeah.
know, like Shauna has this candy dish from her grandma, right? Like obviously, if it broke, I would understand the process. That she would grieve through that process, right? But there's things that would make no sense to people. You'd be like, why are you upset about that? But I think it's all internal. But I also think it's important to to go through that, right? To go through that process. And I really think that the best thing, we're all going to go through that grieving process. The key is what you do with it, right? I think that if you just sit in your grief, it's not good for you.
No, I think it's an active process.
Yeah.
Kind of like the seasons, right? You have to go through it. You have to go through them in stages to progress.
Yeah.
And they can come in different orders, they can come in different ways. But yeah, you have to progress.
And
You can't
tell me if I'm
can't
wrong.
wallow, I guess.
Right. You have to move through
that a good
it.
Midwestern?
Wallow.
Is that like
wallow? Yeah, I think so. I think that's a Midwestern. Do New Yorkers know how to wallow in their own self-grief?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think personally, tell me what you think. The end of the grieving process, the way that you know that you've gone through all the stages, and not that you no longer grieve that thing again, but is when you help others through their similar grief. When you finally made some sense of your own grief and you've moved past it, is when you can see others in that situation and
When you've
you
healed
help them
when you've
through it.
healed enough to help others.
Yeah. And I think that for me, that's the hardest part too, right? Because you always want to, you recognize the situation, you recognize that person's in a similar situation as you, or you're really close to them, and maybe you don't understand their particular situation, but it's always like, you always feel like you have to find the right thing to say,
No,
right?
exactly. You do, but don't.
But no.
Don't.
Yeah.
I think with the grieving process too, like talking about this, I think something we could all do is in this conversation is use the word more in conversation outside of the context of losing a loved one. If we use it, therefore, the seasons and the process and going through it becomes less as part of the vocabulary, so we understand that these emotions aren't only tied to the loss of human life. It can make, whenever those major life-changing events do happen, we've got a little more vocabulary and context around it to help travel through it. So I think that's one of the big things we can do is use that word grief in relation, not being dramatic,
Right.
but use it in relation to these less lower on the scale of devastation,
Yeah.
right?
Like
Events.
Yeah. And the thing is too, is such a charged word, grief.
That's what I'm saying. I think
You
we
know.
can. I think we can reduce if we start using it in conversation and
Take the
broadening
punch out of it.
Yes, if
Right.
we can broaden its application, we can reduce the punchiness of it.
Yeah. And I think of another word, just as an aside, the word accountability. It's like one of those charged words, right? That you're just like, no, I don't like that word, right? But you're right. The more that we use it in, kind of our every situational aspect, it becomes less of that charged word. I think too the denial portion of grief is tough for a lot of people, right? And so when you start down that path of trying to, talk to somebody or help somebody, and you're
And
like, "Hey, I know you're grieving this."
Yeah.
Well, I'm not. I don't.
And it's especially to your point, like I'm having trouble like coming up with things here.
Yeah.
Well, there may be half a dozen things I'm in denial about. I don't even know it, and it's hard for you to help me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's. I mean, it takes. I think the other unspoken thing, right, wrong, or indifferent. We talked about this before, not on air, but men, especially in society. Now, maybe that'll change with the next generation or whatever. But we're still in that kind of viewpoint or frame point that we're supposed to be strong in these situations, and we're not supposed to have. Not necessarily we're not supposed to have emotions, but we're supposed to be strong and lead through these things. So when things happen to us, it's difficult to feel that and move past that denial and get through that, unless it's some life-changing, occurrence, right? And I definitely remember a few times in my previous work where we had reorganizations a lot, so you would lose your job, 30 days to find a new job within the same organization, or here's a 3 months pay, 6 months pay, or whatever. And there was a lot of times where that stuff hit me hard, but then as I became a husband, and then I became a father, you had to show strength in those times of like, no, hey, we'll be fine, even though internally you're like, what are you going to do, and so I think we can do ourselves a favor too by trying to recognize those situations when they happen, and because you're internalizing it, just saying it externally doesn't make you weak either, right? I think that's kind of a strong point. I wonder if women feel the same way.
Oh yeah,
you think? If only we had a caller.
We should
have had a caller. But
and hey, a little plug. Reach out to us. Send us an email.
Yeah.
Go through the Carney.church website. Go to the group life page. Go on the contact form or down on that page. Send us a note. It'll get to me
eventually.
Yeah, it'll get to me. It'll get to me or Keith. And if you have a topic or if you're interested in being a caller, drop us a line there.
Yeah.
We find these conversations are way better with
with someone more interesting than us, which is just about everybody.
If you find yourself more interesting than us, so if you're breathing, go drop us a line.
If you can string a sentence or two together. So
if you know how to use words.
I'm going to end it with because we're wrapping out of time, because that sand is rapidly coming to a close.
I think so too, and I think it might have been. I think it even got slowed down. I think it's even cold. The sand's cold.
The sands of time are cold. I'm just going to wrap it up with. I think if you're in a situation right now where you're experiencing grief, lean on people around you that you trust and care about. Don't think that you're being a burden on others in this time. And then vice versa, if you're someone that is not experiencing a big grief moment, look around you and see if you've got a relationship with somebody that is potentially in a grieving moment, and reach out to them, and all you have to say is,
can I bring you a casserole?
Okay, what can I do?
And hey, if you
I'm
are
here to
grieving,
listen. I'm here to listen.
This is if you And if you are grieving and somebody offers to bring you a casserole, let them bring the casserole.
Yep.
It's going to be, it may not be good, but it'll be good for them to bring you the casserole. And it feels good that someone is, that someone cares. Let the fact that someone cares not be a burden to you either.
Yeah. Let them care for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So Keith, we got a few moments left.
Got a
What's
moment.
what's your go-to casserole?
Ooh.
For helping. You like to cook. I like to cook. What's that?
Dude.
What's your go-to meal delivery for somebody who might need a meal or may not need a meal, but you feel like it's the only thing you can do?
Yeah, it depends on what season.
We're in. I love it.
Right
right
it's
now.
very seasonal.
14 below zero. You making people some
14
chili?
See, you could go with some nice soup. I do make some really good soups. Chili's good. The problem is the reheating transportation ability of it.
Yep.
So I would say right now I'm either gonna go with a nice thing of enchiladas.
Yes.
Okay. Because you can if they got a bunch of casseroles, you can pop that in the freezer, right? And then you can put that in the oven at any point, and those things are good for like 6 months, right? So nice enchiladas. Shauna makes an amazing cream cheese chicken enchilada.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
I love that one.
It's so good.
Got the green chilies in it.
Green chilies.
So,
Cream cheese, obviously, it's in the name. Take a rotisserie
Yeah.
chicken,
Oh,
cut
yeah.
it up.
Oh.
Some cream cheese, some green chilies.
black olives.
Not everybody's an olive fan.
I know, that's the hard part.
So it's like
That's the
you're
hard
trying
part.
to cook for someone else, so don't do the olives. And then you put a little. I like the green chili sauce, like the green chilies and the green enchilada sauce inside,
yeah.
red on the outside,
No way.
and then cheese it up, right?
Yeah.
Lots of cheese on top.
That's a good one.
So cream cheese chicken enchiladas, or we make a really good like you do like a macaroni, kind of like the big twirly noodles, capavelli, kind of noodles, some chicken breasts, nice sauce on it, right? Wrap it up, freeze it. It's nice chicken and noodles. Who doesn't like chicken? Who doesn't like noodles? It's kind of like a chicken and mac and cheese, but it's not mac and cheese, right? But cream cheese chicken enchiladas are my
That's
are my
solid.
go-to.
That's solid.
How about you?
I like fixing people stuff. I like fixing folks soups, casseroles, like shepherd's pies.
Ooh,
Chicken pot pies.
Mm.
Those are kind of fun. They're not, and the enchiladas, the chicken enchiladas, is one that's on. My recipe is sour cream, not cream cheese, but I think I'm now
cream
gonna
cheese
melt
is
half
the jam.
melt half a block in there.
It's good
to kick that up a notch. And then always ask the question when you're offering to bring a meal. There's a great way to ask it: is do you have any food allergies or aversions?
or aversions. Yeah.
It's a great way. It's a great way to just
Yeah.
make sure you meet the.
Also, don't just bring a casserole. Bring the sides. So cream cheese chicken enchiladas. Bring some chips. Bring maybe a little jar of salsa.
Chopped serrano chili peppers.
Salad is always a good side with anything. Just get you a little bag
bag
of
of
salad,
salad.
but put it in a container, right? Like, don't just, here's a bag of salad for you. Like,
Ooh,
put
but
it
no,
in
maybe-
a aluminum foil tray is what I like.
Nope.
Put a little cheese and stuff on half of it, plain on the other half.
I like leaving it in the bag
Okay.
because,
Teach their own.
it's just like stock in the fridge.
Okay. All right. I mean, I'm okay with that. Now, any other time than winter, I'm smoking something. Yeah.
You know how long, Keith? Let's wrap it up. How long would it take today, outdoors, on your smoker, to take a nice pork shoulder to done this? It was -6 when I walked in here.
Normal pork shoulder would take me about 12 hours normally on a good day. I'm going to probably add another 4 hours to it. But the key is you got to get you some blankets that you don't care about. And then you're just going to wrap that sucker up in like the whole smoker in blankets to insulate it. But you're going to add at least another 2 to 4 hours to it.
Good grief. It is cold.
It's cold. That's it.
Stanza time's run out. You all stay warm out there, and you give us a call
Yeah.
Well, not a call. You can't call us, but drop us
mean-
a line through the website and we'll call you.
There you go. See you.